Charleston Wine and Food Festival returns in 1 week for its 19th anniversary. Today, I talk one-on-one with Alyssa Smith, the executive director of the festival, for a preview for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Alyssa Smith with the Charleston Wine and Food Festival. Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are the executive director of the Charleston Wine and Food Festival. And of course, you all exist to celebrate the diverse food and beverage community of the greater Charleston area on a national stage. And of course, you create programs that build a sustainable, vibrant, and connected culinary and hospitality community. So what's new, what's now with the festival this year?
Yeah, we'll kick things off, Quintin, on Wednesday at opening night. It will take place at the Cistern, which is just magical. I love the opening night celebration. I feel like it's such a gathering of so many locals, community members. It's also a showcase of Charleston. So we'll have 37 Charleston local restaurants participating, and then as well as featuring local beverage, and then of course some wine. So that's super fun. We'll have 90 events, so that kicks things off. And then by the time the festival closes, we will have produced 90 events over the course of 5 days.
Wow. And I know that obviously last year when I spoke with you, I believe you all had 108 events. So what took you down to 90?
That was a strategic decision to kind of, bring the scale down slightly, make it more manageable for our team to execute at a really high level. And also, beyond our team, we work with like all the major vendors in town. So it takes quite literally a village to put this organization, this festival on. So that was a strategic decision and one that we're excited about.
And I'm sure you all are able to save a lot of money as well.
But it makes things, more strategic. And we were able to, look at venues and use in a venue multiple times for different events. So we have some pretty neat partnerships this year with some venues. So we're going to be out at Firefly in North Charleston for 2 events. Friday night will be our one night in NOLA, and Saturday night is World of Q. So we'll have 2 large scale events at that property. We also have a partnership this year with the town of Mount Pleasant, and we're using Memorial Waterfront Park over there for 3 events. So Thursday, it will be Shucked. Friday, it's Island Time, which is a celebration of Caribbean flavors. And then Sunday is a new event this year called Big Shrimpin'. And it's a celebration of shellfish and seafood. And with it being in Mount Pleasant, so close to Shem Creek, where the shrimping industry is just bustling, it felt right to have that event there at that park. So there's some new venues that we're using this year and kind of transforming them each day into a different event, which has been, from a logistical and strategic standpoint, very helpful.
Yes, and I know, in fact, Alyssa, the Charleston Wine and Food Festival was founded in 2005. That feels like yesterday from when I think about it right now, by a group of loyal community leaders with a vision of creating an event to promote and elevate Charleston's culinary brand. So what exactly is Charleston's culinary brand with the promotion and elevation of your festival?
Yeah, so 2005 is... it does feel like it's just yesterday, and actually the 2026 festival will be the 20th festival. We had to cancel one due to COVID. So this was the 19th festival. And Charleston's become known as a spot for food and for, people who want to travel, not just nationally, but even internationally, to come and experience Charleston. And I personally think the best way to experience a city is through its food. You learn so much about the people, you learn so much about the culture. And Charleston is so unique in its food ways. We have, ingredients that are unique to here, flavors that are unique to here, and people can really get a diverse taste of different cuisines. Over the last 20 years, I think that diversity is something that's become even more apparent in our foodways and more celebrated. Even the fact that we've got one of our chef ambassadors for the state of South Carolina is Schwei this year from Jackrabbit, Philly, and King, and just the amount of, I mean, Vietnamese, Chinese, Filipino, one of our Kamayan feast this year on the schedule, James Beard award-winning or nominated Miko. So I think that diversity of flavors is something that's unique to Charleston and unique to a city of this scale. A lot of times you get that experience of interacting with multiple cultures in like really big cities. And so, I mean, that's one of the things I think has changed over the last 20 years here.
Oh, yes. And I'm hoping to get Shy. Well, he's supposed to come on Quintin's Close Up next week, according to the PR folks at NBC Universal and Comcast. We'll see. They had to put a pause on that for a minute before the show premieres. But let me ask you, what particular food culture has changed Charleston the most in your mind?
Just in the whole church history of the city?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I would say African and Caribbean, like because of the transatlantic slave trade, we have flavors and ingredients from several different cultures that very much influence low country cuisine, or what you think of as traditional low country cuisine. So I would say, Gullah Geechee influence, hands down, both in ingredients, flavors, even cooking techniques. Charleston is so much more than sheet crab soup and shrimp and grits. And I think that it's really refreshing to see travelers wanting to experience that. And I think it's refreshing to see that celebrated on a national scale through a festival like what we do.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to be redundant here for just a second, Alyssa, but what particular food culture has changed the Charleston Wine and Food Festival the most?
Oh gosh, that's a hard question. I don't know if I can choose one food culture, Quintin. I feel like Charleston Wine and Food, it really tries to showcase foodways through an international lens. Like, I'm thinking through the schedule this year. We'll start things off on Wednesday with opening night, which is, local chefs here to Charleston. And then by the time we go through the weekend, I mean, we'll do an exploration of Caribbean cuisine at Island Time. You've got a Haitian influence. We've got a Haiti cooking class, and then also New Orleans cuisine with the celebration of that culture. There's a lot of Haitian influence there. World of Q is very much international. So we have a plethora of cuisines that really do whole animal cookery, or like cooking over fire, which is in a lot of different cultures as a traditional way of cooking. We've got, this notion of seafood for sure through line, which is, very much akin to people who live here in Charleston with access to the waterways. We'll explore Gullah Geechee cuisine. We have a Kamayan night, which is a traditional Filipino eating with your hands experience with the food on banana leaves. So, I mean, really a diverse offering of food experiences for attendees.
I know what is the biggest difference about the attendees from 2005 to right now?
I mean, I think that the early years of the festival, it was very local and very grassroots. It took quite literally a village of people who wanted to see, the festival take shape and succeed, and they could see that by creating this platform of celebration for what we had here in Charleston, but also creating a destination for food-focused travelers, that it would help. I would help showcase what we have here in Charleston, and it would also help continue to add to the fabric of the food and beverage community. So, more local restaurants have opened. You have chefs who maybe decided to move to Charleston and open a restaurant, or you have chefs that have restaurants in other cities that they've decided Charleston's going to be a flagship, location for another installment. So I think all of that, really kind of ties into why the organization was founded and what the festival really does for the community.
Oh man, and I can think of a lot of those chefs who have made some transitions to Nashville and Asheville and Charlotte.
100%.
All great cities, by the way. So, In the past 20 years, and I'm probably being redundant again, Alyssa, what exactly has been the fabric of the food and beverage industry in this city?
I mean, I think it's the people who live here, Quentin. I feel like one of the like charms of Charleston is, it's very much known for its hospitality, and even in the production of, Charleston wine and food, like at the root of it, um, like that is why we're here, is to serve, and to make sure that others are able to experience and that they're cared for. So, I mean, I think the people here are for sure. Absolutely fantastic. And in particular, and I don't think this is unique to Charleston, but I think Charleston sees it. Charleston definitely has this, but I would say the food communities in general, they're typically very generous, very caring, and they're very connected to their community. So, in particular, I'm thinking through like, the restaurants that we have here locally, they participate to help raise money for local causes. They're there when maybe a local community member is going through like a hard time. I mean, it is very much that notion of almost like a family feeling of connection and just caring for one another and looking out for your neighbor.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You said all the right words there. And obviously, as you know, this city is changing a whole lot. More and more people are moving here. You have, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of chefs come moving here to Charleston, opening up restaurants. So how do you and your team keep up with that growth, with smart growth?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We do, in the curation of the festival schedule every single year, we look at local first, and we want to make sure that the programming and the participation of our talent celebrates the people who live here, because that's the mission and the goal, right, is to showcase the Charleston culinary community. So, and we do that through a couple ways. We want to look at establishments that have helped build, Charleston's culinary brand and have been long time mainstays, but also looking at, the present and who's new, who's doing something different, who's doing something that potentially could change some things within food here. And then while looking to like the future of like, what is the next like group of trailblazers? Like who's going to continue to innovate and carry that torch forward? So we kind of look through that past, present, future mentality when we're looking at, Charleston, its food, its restaurants. I think the other thing that I'm super passionate about is really also using this as a platform to spotlight the mom and pops and the really small businesses. We're still at that size of a city that those like family run restaurants and institutions, that's really like the good stuff, and that makes you still have those. In the previous question, that's the pieces of the glue that holds together that feeling of community and looking out for your neighbors. And I think it's really important that we make sure that we continue to celebrate those and put those businesses and restaurants on a platform, so that way, to your point, the new people who are moving in, that they make sure that they continue to patronize those restaurants and institutions that have been here for, some 25, 50, 75 years in different families.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that as well. And you touched on something so unique that I really want to harken on, and that is obviously innovation. What events that you want to, continue to have, but also, change it to fit the new crowd that's coming in and the growth controls?
Yeah, I think innovation is really important, especially when you're an annual event, and many of our attendees are repeat attendees, both locals that live here, but then people who use it as an opportunity to come and visit Charleston every single year. And it's important to make sure you're innovating and you're showcasing new things. So I've had someone ask me the question of, are you going to ever run out of stories to tell about the city or the food? And my honest answer is no, I don't think so. I think there's always something to explore. There's a ton of, local purveyors and farmers and chefs and history still left to be explored or maybe looked at in a different way. And I think, that's important when you're creating a live event like this, is to continue to give something new to people.
And what is that one food story that you still want to tell with your access and resources with the festival?
Oh gosh, that's a hard question. Um, I guess I will say next year is our 20th anniversary festival, and we've already, like, in the planning of this one, there were some event ideas that we tucked away and saved for next year, just with it being a commemorative year of really looking back over not just our history of 20 over the past 20 years as an organization and a festival, but also Charleston over the last 20 years. So I think that there's some great stories to tell within that 20th anniversary that really look at that past, present, and future. Yeah, I guess that's how I'd answer that. I mean, every year it's kind of different. I always look into, the small and the local. I feel like that's a really fun way to showcase. I mean, an example of this year for programming, we have an excursion on the schedule called Street Eats El Viaje, and it's an exploration of Latinx cuisine in the Low Country. We have a huge Hispanic influence here in the Charleston area, but beyond that, there's Brazilian, there's Colombian, there's Puerto Rican, and so Street Eats is really an exploration of several different food cultures within the Latinx community, and I feel like it's something that's important for us to showcase, especially. There's people that might not have eaten at some of these like smaller institutions. So we're doing kind of like a food tour where you go from place to place. They'll get to meet the owners. They'll get to like taste and really hear the story behind the restaurant and experience the food in a way that maybe they haven't done before.
And you bring me to another point, and I'm looking at it right now. It's right down the street from where I'm sitting. But I was thinking about Ann Street again, and I know a couple of years ago you all had the street festival for those folks who can't really, attend the other festival, events for doing the festival. So will you all repeat that this year?
Unfortunately, we don't have that on the schedule this year.
Okay.
We're in conversations with municipalities to see about proactively working towards a big block party street closure that we can do again in 2026. Because to your point, Quintin, I think it's really important to have experiences that are accessible to the community and to locals. And that was an event that it felt so hyper local, and it was family friendly too, which all of our events are 21 and up, so it was exciting to be able to tap into a new audience that maybe hasn't attended before because they couldn't bring children. So, and that one I think was the perfect event to bring together members of the community and have them get a taste of what we do in a way that's accessible. So it's not on the schedule for this year, unfortunately, but it will be back on the schedule in the future.
Amazing. So, okay. And you talk about tapping into that new audience. So what is that one audience that you still want to target with these particular events?
I don't know if there is one audience in particular, Quintin. I think us continuing to communicate to locals is always going to be at the forefront and important. And to your point earlier in the interview, we have new people moving here every single day. And that's an opportunity for us to continue to, educate those individuals on the organization and the festival. So I think that's important for us to look at through that local audience lens. And continuing to make sure that we're inclusive from a talent perspective too, of making sure that the people who get to participate in the festival represent the fabric of the community that we have here.
And I know you're busy, but let you ask one last question to you.
Yeah.
Obviously, the festival starting next week. So, how many tickets do you have left for those who want to attend?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Culinary Village is almost sold out on Saturday. So if you want to go on Saturday, I would say definitely get your ticket. Friday and Sunday still has availability, and Sunday is locals day. So if you live here locally and you have a 294 zip code, you get $40 off your ticket automatically. That's just a thank you to us of, people who live here locally spending their money in local restaurants all year. So the Village. We have several signature events that still have tickets. So the Island Time Caribbean event that I mentioned, you can still get tickets to that. The Big Shrimpin' with the celebration of shellfish and seafood and crustaceans, you can still get tickets to that one. We have a fantastic wine event on Saturday that still has tickets. So the website's pretty intuitive. If you go to charlestonwineandfood.com, there's actually a filter called Available. You can click that and it will show you everything that has tickets still left.
And I was just over at the Riverfront Park yesterday. Are you all coming there this year as well?
No, the Culinary Village is going to be at Johnson Haygood Stadium downtown.
Oh, okay. News. Breaking news.
Yeah, new venue. So we start loading into that space actually on Friday of this week. We'll start building it out. So it's downtown. I would say if you're going to the Culinary Village, on our website, there's FAQs, and then on per event page, it has all the information about parking, rideshare drop off, rideshare pickup, what you can bring, what you can't bring. But yeah, so new venue and some really great amenities in the space. We're excited about guests to be able to come and see, how we'll transform that into a culinary village.
Yes, that's going to be exciting. So I'll be able to see that on my, food deliveries, and a few on my bicycle. But so I can't
you can ride your bike there.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, Alyssa Smith with the Charleston Wine and Food Festival. Thank you so much for your time again. Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.